A moment almost as historic as COVID itself. Governor Greg Abbott has lifted restrictions across the state.
UNT's requirement for negative tests begin tomorrow. We'll explain.
And how food waste is being turned into nutrients for our land.
Broadcasting live from the University of North Texas, this is ntTV Nightly News.
Thanks for joining us on ntTV Nightly News. I'm Michaela Goose.
And I'm Kayla Holt. Now, a developing story from Austin. Texas Governor Greg Abbott has announced major changes to the way Texas deals with COVID. He's reopening the state, and it begins with the mask mandate. ntTV reporter Andrew Fancher is live with details. Andrew?
That's right, Kayla. This afternoon, Governor Greg Abbott announced that he was reopening the state of Texas 100%, ending the COVID-19 mask mandate. Once this goes into effect next Wednesday, Texas will be the largest state to do away with face coverings. This comes nearly 1 year after COVID struck Texas, with less than 6% of Texans fully vaccinated. Now, the governor insists that Texans have, quote, mastered the habits to keep from getting COVID. But despite his optimism, nearly 6,000 people across the state are currently hospitalized, with more than 42 people having passed as a result. In response to the historic decision, Dallas County Judge Clay Jenkins said, quote, you should focus on what doctors, facts, and science say is safe, not what the governor says is legal. That's it from out here. Back to y'all at the desk.
Thanks, Andy. Here at UNT, students will still be urged to wear masks. UNT's President Neil Smatras talked to ntTV this afternoon and told us the following. We will ask and encourage students to continue to wear masks so that we can hold our face-to-face classes safely. Masks have been a requirement of all across campus since the post-COVID reopening last summer. The goal is to keep students and faculty members safe during the still ongoing pandemic. UNT will continue following health officials' recommendations.
But masks are just one part of the effort at UNT to keep people safe. Tomorrow begins our newest COVID-19 safety measure. All students who want to attend an in-person event or meeting are now required to produce a negative COVID test before being allowed to enter. All those living on campus will be required to test weekly. I spoke to Dr. Melissa McGuire, the Associate President for Student Affairs, to get more information. As of March 1st, all UNT students wishing to attend in-person meetings or events will have to present a negative COVID-19 test. But what is the UNT administration hoping for with this new COVID safety measure?
I think what we're looking to do through this mandatory testing is really create opportunities for us to continue to expand the opportunities that we have in person. I think students are itching to do more in person. We as staff are itching for you to do more in person, and ourselves as well. And we have seen a lot of success in how we have reopened our campus.
Free testing is available across campus. Curative and Binax Now are the only two test results the university will accept. But how will they know if a student has been tested?
So if you were to go get a Curative or Binax Now test, so those are the two tests that we have created a system to process for events. And Curative is available in the Union as well as the Gateway Center, and Binax Now is a test that's available through the Student Health and Wellness Center. Both of these options are free to students and faculty and staff. So the thought is, if you wanted to go to an event, let's say that event is next Wednesday, sometime between today and up to 72 hours prior to that event, you've got to go get one of those tests. We would get the results from that test. You would get the results from that test within 24 to 48 hours. And so when you go to an event, when you check in, you would swipe your ID card and a screen would pop up for the event staff who's going to be checking you in that has a green check mark that says you have a valid negative test within the last 7 days. or you can upload a document that says that you've tested positive within the last 90 days and you don't have to test again. So if you have either one of those, a green check mark comes up. And if you don't have one of those, we get a yellow circle that says oops. And that just means we don't have that information in the system. And so you would not be able to enter the room.
Students can access the free testing at Gateway and in the Union. Signups can be found on the Student Affairs UNT's website under COVID testing. For ntTV News, I'm Michaela Goose. For testing, you can go to the Union, the Gateway Center, and the Health and Wellness Center.
Well, the good news is the walk to the Union to get tested won't be bad with the way the weather has been lately.
That is 100% right, Kayla. I know it has been great outside. Let's go to weather anchor Hannah Gonzalez to see if it is going to stay. Hannah?
Thanks, guys. Yes, the weather's been nice, but if we look at the current conditions in Denton right now, we can see it sits at 57. Does feel a bit cooler at 56 with the wind speed at miles per hour coming from the southwest. Now looking into tonight's conditions, the conditions will still stay clear. However, temperatures will drop at 50 degrees, feel even cooler at 48. Now moving into tomorrow's conditions, we almost hit 70 degrees, but unfortunately we'll sit a bit cooler at 68, feels the same, and we will see cloud intervals throughout the day. Now that's all I have for first look. Back to y'all at the desk.
Thanks, Hannah. Lately, internships have been hard to find since the pandemic, but a local company in Dallas has opportunities for students. Dallas-based company Universal Marketing exemplifies opportunity during a global pandemic. Since entering a time where Zoom universities have become a reality, many college students anticipated many limitations ahead in the professional world. Luckily, there are brighter days ahead. Located in the heart of downtown Dallas, Universal Marketing is a consulting group actively hiring administrative assistants, corporate trainers, and marketing executives.
We work with different nonprofits, different charities like the Humane Society, Child Fund. Essentially what we do is fundraise for these charities using different mediums of direct marketing. So really what we look for is a well-educated, well-spoken, passionate person that we can pair up with a great charity, and from that role to cross-train into a leadership or management position.
Universal Marketing Executive Michael Clopton encourages applicants with varying backgrounds to apply, as the company is more than willing to provide training when necessary.
One of the best parts about being in this business is our management training program. I get to see people grow into being their own boss. I started off working as an account executive just like them, so I love the moment where they realize that this is more than a job opportunity, but rather an investment to a long-term career.
If you're interested in applying, check out umarketinginc.com. Reporting for ntTV News, I'm Kayla Holt. The office atmosphere was really uplifting and welcoming. I urge anyone looking for a new job position to check out their website.
Next, Twitter launches a new tool to help their users recognize false information.
And could the state fair resume regular schedule this year? Stay tuned to find out. tragic news from California. This morning, an SUV crashed against a semi-trailer, leaving so far 13 people dead. The accident happened on a Southern California highway where the SUV was transporting 25 people. At least a dozen passengers, including kids, were also injured and sent to the hospital, some in critical condition. Authorities are investigating the accident and causes are still unclear if the SUV had stopped at a stop sign before hitting the big rig.
The United States now has their third COVID-19 vaccine on the market. The one-dose Johnson & Johnson was approved over the weekend.
A third coronavirus vaccine officially rolled out in the U.S.
If people want to opt for one vaccine over another, they may have to wait. Time is of the essence. Getting vaccinated saves lives.
It's a race against the virus variants believed to be more contagious.
J&J has communicated that the supply will be limited for the next couple of weeks following this initial distribution of nearly 4 million doses.
Even as more shots become available, the three companies with vaccines on the U.S. market are working on a booster to help better protect against the virus variants.
All the companies are already working on the next generation for some of these variants. While we're encouraged and we're confident in the current vaccine that we have, you've always got to be preparing for the future and frankly for the unknowns.
The latest 7-day average numbers show a slight increase in new COVID-19 cases and deaths compared to the week before.
Please hear me clearly. At this level of cases with variants spreading, we stand to completely lose the hard-earned ground we have gained. Stay strong in your conviction. Continue wearing your well-fitted mask and taking the other public health prevention actions that we know work.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Johnson & Johnson will be allocated the same way as the other two vaccines. There is lots of excitement about the new vaccine, although there has been a lot of information spread on social media. Twitter has decided to make it easier for users to spot fake articles. We have Chris with the details.
Thank you, Michaela. Twitter is expanding what is fact-checked on its platform. The social media giant announced a plan to label coronavirus misinformation on the site. Twitter revealed in a blog post examples of the labels it plans to apply. One of them says, "This tweet may be misleading. Find out why health officials consider COVID-19 vaccines safe for most people." Users who repeatedly share misinformation on Twitter could face a permanent ban. That's all I have. Back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Chris. So, Kayla, you have any weekend plans?
Well, it's a little early, but I think it all depends on what Hannah's going to tell us is going to happen weather-wise over the next few days. Hannah?
Thanks, Kayla. First, let's take a look across North Texas. We can see Denton remains the same at 57. We have Graham over here at 66, and then we see Paris and Sulphur Springs at 58. Now, zooming out and looking across the state, we can see Austin is at 67, Houston a bit cooler at 61. Now, moving into the 7-day forecast, we can see tomorrow will be a high of 69 and a low of 49. Friday, we will see partly cloudy skies with a high of 60, low of 44. Saturday will be the same. Sunday, it's going to get a bit warmer with a high of 64, low of 48. And then Monday, that's going to be our warmest day with a high of 69 and a low of 56. That's all I have for weather tonight. Back to y'all at the desk.
Thanks, Hannah. Let's hope we can keep that good weather around for the 2021 State Fair. Yes, you heard that right. The State Fair is expected to be back this year despite some concern about the pandemic. Organizers are planning the event to take place September 24th through October 17th, but a final decision to whether we move forward with the event will be made July of 2021. And another major Texas festival, South by Southwest, is also set to happen this year. However, it will look a little different. South by Southwest will build a virtual downtown Austin for participants to attend. Organizers are working with a number of high-tech companies to create a virtual reality of two famous areas in downtown Austin. One is Congress Avenue and Red River Cultural District. Using a PC, PCVR, or Oculus Quest headset, attendees can walk down the streets of Austin into venues for events, panels, meetups, special events, and films. The festival will take place March 16th through March 20th.
Coming up after the break, a new way to reuse food waste in tonight's Living Green.
And a major announcement about books many of us knew as children. Well, I'll explain.
Now an update following Governor Greg Abbott's 100% opening announcement earlier today. Denton County has officially announced that the county is allowing businesses to operate at 100% without consequences starting Wednesday, March 10th. In a press release from Denton County, Judge Andy Eads said, quote, "We are following the governor's lead to allow businesses to operate at 100%. Eads says we have seen a decrease in the hospital rate in the region and across the country. This comes while the country continues to administer nearly 10,000 vaccine doses each week." And on a lighter note, it is a day to celebrate reading. National Read Across America Day. Its goal is to help kids get interested and excited about books. Usually it's a face-to-face event, but this year, schools and libraries across the country are holding virtual read-ins. However, one of the most popular series of books by Dr. Seuss is now off that reading list. According to publishing companies, 6 of the Dr. Seuss books will no longer be sold because they portray people in ways that are hurtful and wrong. Dr. Dan Hyman, UNT professor of bilingual education, says teachers today need to be proactive in choosing appropriate books for their classes.
As a response to our socio-political context, we reconsider what kinds of books we bring into our classrooms with our students, right? So I think any book should be deemed not usable if we see these dominant tropes around stereotypes of different groups, right? I think that's the big one.
Dr. Seuss Enterprise says that ending a sales of these books is part of their commitment to represent and support all communities and families.
Massive amounts of food are thrown into the garbage in America every day, a waste that can be valuable for our environment.
But the good news is a UNT alumna has found a convenient solution for all of us. Rochelle De Sereno has more.
Regenerating soil might be key in the fight against climate change. Food waste in our landfill creates methane gas, one of the worst greenhouse gases that affect our environment. To avoid that, we can recycle our daily waste, just like coffee grounds or raw fruit, and it can be easier than you think.
Valuable food scraps are wasted every day in American households, while local farmers are in need of it. But this third-generation North Texan and UNT alumni has taken green matters into literally her own hands.
So it's staggering, the problem, and that's kind of where I started. Food is the #1 single item in the U.S. waste stream. It accounts for approximately 40% of what our trash is food.
Turn was founded in 2018. Since then, the organization has diverted over 200 tons of food waste in the residential program. just by collecting buckets full of scraps and turning it into compost.
Composting is taking food scraps and turning it into rich, fecund soil for a garden.
It's amazing how much you can compost at home. All vegetative matter, coffee grinds, tea bags, beans, rice, pasta.
By offering a doorstep service, they help you reduce your environmental impact and reuse your waste.
We built the program kind of from my personal perspective. I'm a mom. I've got 2 kids, busy household. So I wanted to make something that's super convenient and easy for everyday people to do.
You can also meet them at one of their drop-off locations all around the DFW and now in Denton.
Compost helps make healthy soil. Healthy soil helps make healthy plants that can make healthy food and therefore healthy people.
And for more information, you can visit their website, turncompost.com.
We cannot forget our soil. We cannot forget local food production, and compost is an important part of that.
For ntTV, I'm Rochelle Cedeño.
What a great initiative. It'll certainly be a win for the environment.
Yes, and talking about wins, I heard UNT's Mean Green teams have some of those. We have Justin to tell us everything on sports.
Thanks, guys. The UNT basketball teams have some huge matchups coming up this week. Stay tuned to hear all about it. Both the UNT men's and women's basketball teams split their series this weekend against Marshall. The women's team played 2 absolute nail-biters, with both games coming down to the final shot. The Mean Green won by 1 point on Friday night and then lost by 1 on Saturday. The women are now 2 games back of first place Rice and can take home the division crown with 2 wins against Rice this week. The Mean Green will play host to Rice on Thursday night and then will play at Rice on Saturday. Now, the men's team handled the first place Herd on Friday night very easily and won by a comfortable 12 points. James Reese led the way with 21 points in that one. But Saturday was a different story as Marshall shooters caught fire. Javion Hamlet's 28 points were not enough to carry the team to a win in that one. Now, a very important series this week against UAB looms this weekend in Denton. UNT can take the Western Division by beating UAB on both Friday and Saturday. A win in either game would grant UNT a top 2 seed in the conference tournament and a double bye. A split this weekend would win the division for La Tech, while a UAB sweep would win them the division. Things are surely spicing up down the stretch of this last week of the season, and luckily for the Mean Green, they still control their own destiny. The NCAA announced that the National Invitational Tournament will take place at the UNT Coliseum and in Frisco beginning on March 17th. The Mean Green soccer team shut out Texas State 1-0 on Sunday to improve to 2-0 on the U. Olivia Klein scored the lone goal of the game in the 30th minute. With the win, head coach John Henlon recorded his 360th career win with the Mean Green. UNT has shut out their first 2 opponents of the season and has outshot them by a combined 89-4. Goalkeeper Kelsey Brand did not make a single save the first 2 games of the season and still got 2 shutouts, and that's a huge testament to the Mean Green defense. UNT will take on Oklahoma on Thursday night and then will kick off conference play on Sunday against Rice. The Dallas Mavericks took down the Orlando Magic 130 to 124 last night. Luka Doncic led the way with 33 points and was 1 assist away from a triple-double. Jalen Brunson scored 24 points off the bench and continues to be a reliable offensive weapon for Dallas. The Mavericks were 9-14 a month ago, but throughout the month of February, they began to turn the tide. Dallas has won 8 out of their last 10 games and are now over 500 for the first time since late January. Last night's wins leaves Dallas at 17-16 on the year and 1 game back of a playoff spot. The Mavs' next game is tomorrow night against the Thunder. That's all I've got for sports. Back to you guys at the desk.
We have a faculty member who is making history by getting her artwork into the famed Smithsonian American Art Museum.
That is UNT's art building.
Art,
and this
not based on like an image
is Miss Alicia
head, but
Eggert.
Based on an idea you want to communicate.
And her artwork can be found all around the world, from Beijing to Dallas. And most recently, the prestigious Renwick Gallery of the Smithsonian American Art Museum in Washington, D.C.
The cool thing about this sign that was recently acquired by the Smithsonian is that it's so true for me personally.
Miss Eggert's Smithsonian exhibition, titled This Present Moment, was inspired by reading the book The Clock of the Long Now by Stewart Brand.
That, you know, this present moment really was the unimaginable future for a long time.
And she has some advice for budding artists.
Who's going to get to see all that amazing work that you make if you don't put the time and the effort into getting it out there and sharing it with the world, right? So that's the advice that I always try to give my students, is that stuff that isn't as fun to do because they really just want to be in the studio is like equally as important.
Striving for greatness has made a lasting impact on the world.
You know, I think I've always wanted to go to a Smithsonian Museum. How was it?
I think it was absolutely amazing, wonderful artwork. But thanks for watching ntTV Nightly News.
Join us again tomorrow night at 6 here on North Texas Television.